So Bilal, it's been a couple of days now, but obviously a huge win for you against a perennial contender. What do you think? Is that the biggest win of your career so far?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, definitely the biggest win of my career. Anytime you get to beat a guy who's fought for the title twice, like Wonderboy, a guy who's known as one of the best to ever do it, one of the legends of the sport, and I got to be, the second legend in a row right now. I beat Maya and I beat Wonderboy, so I'm gonna keep this streak going of beating guys that fought for the title.
But dig it, man. We talked about that a little bit beforehand, right? Like how crazy it was that you went from the predominant grappling specialist to like the predominant like karate striking specialist. I mean, how difficult was that for you to prepare for in back-to-back camps? I mean, are you changing everything you're doing in the build-up, or do you just kind of end up focusing on what you do?
Literally, I tell you guys, like, dude, I did the exact opposite of what I did for Maya. That's what I did for Wonderboy. But it was more so, honestly, just having the right crew around me and the teammates. When you're training for a specialist like Maya, you understand little things, and you understand not to waste time with other things, and you don't overthink things a lot. Because I sat there and I was like, oh man, I need to bring in 10 different black belts or somebody like that. This guy's jiu-jitsu is not good enough to be training with, but like same thing with Wonderboy, where you had, oh, why don't you bring in Raymond Daniels? Why don't you bring in this guy? Why don't you bring in that guy? And, I just didn't overthink the process. I sat there and I was like, you know what? I'm good enough to compete with all these guys. I just got to figure out what their weakness is and exploit it. And I think that's what helped me with both fights.
Yeah, no question about it. Obviously, a very dominant performance. I mean, the scores were one-sided. I saw some criticisms, but I mean, it's a smart fight. Like, that's the way you should fight Stephen Thompson, right? So what do you feel? Are you happy overall with how the fight went?
I mean, the criticism, or 90% of them, are from people that just naturally hate me or Wonderboy fans. But like the way I beat him, I don't think anybody's ever beat him that dominantly. I had a 30-25 in there, so like it couldn't have been that boring if there was a 30-25 in there. I had a couple times in there where I almost had to finish. So for me, it was like it worked out as perfect as it can be for me. Honestly, my plan A was to wrestle him. My plan B was to be in his face, box with him, strike with him. So I didn't even have to go to plan B if plan A worked so easily. So like for me, it was a success. Anytime I get to come home uninjured, unhurt with 2 checks, I'm happy.
Yeah, no question about it. What do you do to celebrate a big win like that? I mean, I know you're not going to the bar and partying up or anything like that. So what's celebration like for you?
The celebration is just eating. Literally, I'm like, we went to like an Italian restaurant that night, and then went back to bed. Then I woke up. I went to the Hershey store. Got me like a 1 pound Reese, dabbled in that. So yeah, 90% of my stuff is eating. And I told myself, I was like, I'm wasting it right now. I was talking to Jared Gordon earlier, and I was just like, yeah, I'm like wasting my meals right now. Usually, like I'll sit there, I'll get like a good meal, I'll go to a steak dinner or something like that. But I just been eating candy because I've been lazy to go outside because it's so cold outside in Chicago. Like I didn't want to go out, but I'm like, all right, I got to stop wasting. If I'm gonna eat bad, it's gonna be bad from a good restaurant.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. All right, so listen, we saw the rankings that come out. You're number 5. It's a big move up for you. Are you happy with that spot? Does that sound right to you?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think it's well deserved. I'm right above Masvidal, and Masvidal lost to Wonderboy, and he lost to Maya, and I beat both of those guys. So I think it's the perfect spot for me.
No question. And I know you had the call out for the champ. You said, let's get some fresh blood in there. Was that well received? Have you had any conversations with the matchmakers? Are they saying, hey, we'll talk about you? Or they say, hey, slow your roll there, Bilal. You still got some work to do?
That's what I said. I mean, people were like, oh, why don't you call out this guy? I'm like, obviously, I'm gonna aim for the top. Regardless of whether I get it or not, it's now I'm in the conversation. Now, these 4 weeks they have off, now they have to discuss it. Like this guy, I was the last card of the year. I just dominated Wonderboy like that. Now you have to bring it up at the table. Now they say you have a seat at the table. Now my name's at the table. Where, I mean, if you're thinking about it, like who has Leon beat to deserve this title fight? He beat RDA. He's beat Nate Diaz. Like there's not a ranked welterweight that he's actually beaten right now. None of these guys are ranked. None of these guys. All the guys that he's fought were 55ers or went back down to 55. Donald Cerrone, one of his big wins. Like, who are his big wins? I beat 2 guys that fought for the welterweight title twice, and Maya and Wonderboy. Both those guys fought for the title twice. So, like, I'm actually fighting real contenders at welterweight.
Is that a frustrating one? I mean, if he does get that title shot, does that one kind of have a little personal flavor to it because of everything that transpired between you guys?
No, I mean, honestly, I don't take anything personally. It's one of those things where it's like, he has a lot of people begging for him to get the title shot, and the fans are crying for it because he's on a 9-fight winning streak, and they don't want the same Tony Ferguson thing to happen to him. But to me, it's whatever. I just want to stay active. I want to stay ready to go. I'm not going to sit there on the sidelines and waiting. I don't know. Kamaru's had 3 fights this year. He's an active champion. So, like, if he wants to take a break, I would understand it. So, like, if I have to stay busy and maybe I skip the line in front of Leon, if I take a fight and he doesn't, and all of a sudden I beat somebody really good, and then Leon's still sitting out. Dana White doesn't like guys sitting out. So, like, if I have to stay active, I'm down to do that.
Yeah, I saw you with the call out of Khamzat Chimaev, the boogeyman that nobody wants to fight, right? Is that a fight that you like actively want to pursue? Because you talk about beating good guys and guys that can get you attention. I think that would be one of them. Or is it more just like, hey, that guy's not ranked yet. If they try to make it for me, I will, but I'm not really going to go after that one.
No, honestly, it doesn't. Like, it's not. I'm not going to be one of those guys where it's like it makes sense for anybody in the division. Like, he has the most hype in the division right now. He has that McGregor X Factor stardom right now, where it's like the fans think he's untouchable. The boss thinks he's untouchable. They all think it's just a matter of time before he becomes champion. So for me, if I beat him, I steal all of his hype, and I think it's worth more than beating anybody ranked in the division. Even like beating him is probably worth more than beating Colby Covington, just because of all the hype he has right now. So in this game, it's about momentum, and it's about hype, and it's about who's hot right now, and he's the hottest right now. So beating him, I steal all that shine, I steal all that heat. So why wouldn't I? And then stylistic wise, I think I match up very well with him. And you're thinking stylistic wise too. He has kind of like a very similar style to Usman. So I beat him. I just show that I belong in there with the guy like Usman, and I'm the next guy that should be fighting Usman.
What do you see in Khamzat when you see him? I mean, obviously you said it. He's got all the hype. But I mean, the way that he's made out to be, he's like this unbeatable, cyborg machine. What do you see? I mean, do you see that? Yeah, this is a dude that deserves that hype, or do you see like, hey, it's just another guy?
I mean, obviously he deserves some hype just because you got one punch one time at 4 fights. I mean, he beat my teammate, but even with that fight, like, anybody can get caught. It's a fight. It's 4-ounce gloves. So, like, you really didn't get a true Gerald Meerschaert in there. Like, you saw this last fight, Gerald Meerschaert got a submission win in the 3rd round. Like, this guy fights to the end. He just got caught on that fight. So I don't really consider that a fight. I consider him. He beat Li Jingliang, who has 0 grappling at all. Like, in the video game, he should be like a 6 in attributes of the grappling wise. But, like, I figured that's what would happen, and he would look so dominantly just by taking him down and submitting him. But I mean, he's obviously good. He's obviously not. It's not fake. It's not like he's going out there just getting lucky punches the whole time. He has really good grappling, really good ground game, and grappling is king in the sport. Wrestling is king in the sport, and those are the guys that become champions. The guys with wrestling. So I think he is good. I just don't think that he's just untouchable, boogeyman, Candyman that nobody wants to say his name type guy. I've just fought a guy in Wonderboy who a lot of guys turned down. Nobody wants to fight this guy because his style is so hard to figure out. His puzzle is so hard to figure out. And I said yes to it easily without no hesitation at all. And even when Khamzat lost that last fight with Khamzat, right after that Li Jingliang fight, I texted my manager. I'm like, yo, give me that fight. And he's like, oh, we're about to get Wonderboy. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. If that don't happen, let me get that fight. But I actually texted him. Like, these guys sitting there tweeting it out. You're tweeting it out to get that fan hype and stuff like that, for the fan clout. I'm texting a manager who actually can get the fight.
Yeah, it's a lot different than just going to social media, isn't it? So, all right, let me ask you this. I think that'd be a great fight. You said it. The hype is there. I think that would be a big one if you can get that one arranged. The other name that I saw you throwing out there is, well, I don't know if you were calling him out for a fight, but you were just kind of talking about Colby Covington. Maybe it's just fun to talk about Colby Covington, but what do you think? Is that a fight that you're actively pursuing as well?
Yeah, honestly, I would really want that fight. I've been calling for that guy for like 10 years. Before he became a title contender, before he got ranked, I was that guy that I wanted to fight him just because stylistically, I like that style matchup. And then now I just want to fight him just because I don't like him. I hate him. He's like his trash talk, the stuff he says is so stupid, and he deserves to get slapped. And I want to be the guy that does the slapping. I want to be that guy that you want to do the trash talk. Let's do the trash talk, and like I'll literally make you look dumb at press conferences in front of people, in front of fans, because you can tell that he writes stuff down. He doesn't just come up with it quick-wittedly. So like to fight a guy with me who's sharp at the tongue and with the fist, it'll be a tough camp for him.
I like it, man. I like both those matchups. I think if either one of them comes to fruition, fans will be excited about it. Are those really, kind of, I mean, Belal, you've kind of always been that guy, right? I'll fight anybody, just, sign me up. But now that you're at this point in your career, you're top 5 in the world, you're on the cusp of a title shot. Do you have to be more selective now and not just say, anybody that wants it can get it?
Yeah, I mean, selective in certain ways, because obviously, like, there's 4 guys above me that none of them have fights, and either one of those would work. And then I think underneath me, Chimaev is the only one that makes sense, or Masvidal is the only one that makes sense. Masvidal being obviously a big name, just fought for the title twice. So me beating him, me beating Wonderboy, who fought for the title twice, beating Mayo, fought for the title twice, and then fighting Masvidal, fought for the title twice. It would make sense. And I just beat 2 guys that beat him. So if he wants to get those wins back, it maybe for him beating me would help him rest at night after those Maya loss and the Wonderboy loss. So I mean, those are the only ones that really make sense for him.
I like it, man. Well, wonderful options, man. It looks like we know you're getting a big fight. One way that we know that's what's coming up. What's the idea of a lot of this as far as the schedule wise? I mean, do you want to take a little time off for the holidays, enjoy some of those steak dinners, or is this get you booked as quickly as possible? What's the calendar look like for you?
I mean, gonna definitely eat. Definitely get some steak dinners in. My teammate Bahamondes is fighting in February, so I got to get back in the gym with him. He had a rough camp being the Stephen Wonderboy Thompson for me for the whole time, so I gotta repay him.
Respect to that, man. Respect to that. Honestly, well, congrats, Belal. Obviously, a big win for you, and I look forward to whatever comes next because, like you said, I think it's going to be a big fight regardless of which one of those names it ends up being.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for the time. I appreciate you, man.